and just say on behalf of the American Folklore Society, we want to welcome you to our sixth and our final Hear from Harrisburg series. And this evening we have the spoken word traditions of Harrisburg, and I've been so excited about this program, so very excited about this program. So we're doing all of these in advance of the American Folklore Society annual meeting that will be in October, and we're just delighted to be able to meet in this virtual space prior to our meeting to really hear about some of the amazing traditions that happen in and around Harrisburg. And so Brant, I want to turn over to Brant Ellsworth, who has been spearheading the local arrangements committee's efforts to produce this series. And Brant will be here to introduce it. Thanks. Go ahead, Brant.
Thanks, Jessica. Hey, everyone. Like Jessica said, my name is Brant Ellsworth. I'm one of the, my screen just got really big. I'm one of the co-chairs for the local planning, the local arrangements committee for the American Folklore Society. And my partner, Yvonne, and I, gosh, feels like a year ago, as we sat down and wondered about how we could bring the local traditions of Harrisburg to a larger audience in light of the fact that there was this COVID pandemic that seemed to threaten everything and everyone. Was there a way that we could safely bring people together and allow the artists and the tradition makers of Harrisburg and Central Pennsylvania a platform to share? And we decided back in January that probably online would be the safest way to ensure that we could get some people and share their stories. So this is, as Jessica said, the sixth and the final installment of the Hear from Harrisburg series. And I know some of you have been here throughout the whole journey. We're excited for it October, when the American Folklore Society meeting will officially happen at the Hilton Harrisburg. And I'd like to, as many of you are Harrisburg natives, I'd like to welcome you, if you're interested, to consider registering or talk to me through Amy or Lisa, and we can get you access to the conference. I'd like to finally just give a big shout out to the Pennsylvania Council on the Arts, whose money, I guess through taxpayers, so your money too, helped to make this all possible. So thank you, PA Council on the Arts, for continuing to support the arts. And with that, Lisa, I think I will turn the time over to you to introduce our presenters tonight.
Great, thank you, Brant. So when I first mentioned to the local committee that I was thinking about spoken word poetry for a part of this Hear from Harrisburg series, in part it was because I've been thinking a lot about creative writing and poetry. The most recent Journal of Folklore and Education that I co-edit with Patty Bowman chose as its special theme this year, Creative Texts, Creative Traditions. This offered a deeper look at a core topic in our schools, literacy, through the lens of culture and folk arts. I also am an advisory member of the Arts Education Partnerships activities around literacy. And recently, as a part of that working group, I wrote the following reflection. I said, literacy is meaning making. Literacy decodes and amplifies connections within groups, between diverse communities, and through time. Learners who access, engage, and create literacies through art education and across content areas gain skills and knowledge that unlock world-making paths into the future and offer critical insight into the past and present. So, as a folklorist, I like to highlight our methodology engages inquiry to access information about context, which presents opportunities to decode diverse texts used in cultural groups. This is powerful in language art education, but also in other core content areas. This process of meaning making, discovering multiple perspectives, engaging across cultural texts, including art-based texts, and learning about self and other is core to cultural literacy and other literacies. So that's part of why I'm excited to hear from our guests this evening. I lived in Harrisburg between 2006 and 2011, and I came to love this city. And I got to know this city in part through the truth expressed through spoken word. Poet Iyaya Asoki brought words that cut through the gauzy BS that too often shrouds cities like Harrisburg, sitting in the shadow of a cold but beautiful capital, and too often held captive by narratives that are written about it, but not by it, by its communities, by its people. Iyaya worked with Amy Skillman and me in a school-based program at a local high school. She introduced me to the Reverend Nate Gadsden, who you'll hear from tonight. And we did some programs with the Writers Workshop that still are highlights for me as a part of that project. And Rick Kearns, I actually first met him through his poetry, because he is published in a book that I spent hours with after picking it up on a lark in the summer between high school and college. I was looking at this book again before we came on tonight, and I mean, it's got all sorts of marks and papers and dog ears in this book. And in the introduction by Miguel Alagarin, I highlight some statements and see them as kind of an invocation to our time together tonight. He wrote, "Dialogue today necessitates a larger field of verbal action to explain the cultural and political reality of North America. The poets at the cafe are saying, listen and be aware of the energy and the power of words. Do not abandon the self, but retain the culture. Return to thinking. Stop the passive role of the observer and take up the sport of life." And Bob Holman shouts, "Poetry is no longer an exhibit in a dust museum. Poetry is alive. Poetry is allowed." So I'm going to hand it off to Rick, and I am so excited to be with all of you tonight. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Lisa. What a wonderful introduction. And I've been thinking about Miguel recently. He just passed away just a few months ago. And we're still figuring out his legacy, which is massive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a few pieces that I wrote just before the pandemic hit. And one of the jobs I do is I'm a tutor at Harrisburg Area Community College. And because of my experience as a tutor and a teacher, many of the international students and students with different challenges were referred to me. So I'm going to read just a couple pieces about a few of those students that are based on part of their story, as well as a few other pieces that are related to the topic. But the first one is sort of a haiku. It's a 3-line piece called "The Trap." Baby cried all night. 8 a.m. math class. Auntie not answering the phone. And the next one is it's called "Wounded." Alton was taking a break, smoking a cig, when the roadside bomb took all of his arm and part of his mind. That's how he explained it to me as I helped him deal with composition format. He stands up every 10 minutes or so, walks around and makes some of us nervous. His eyes are red and sometimes he, quote, gets all jittery and shit, unquote. Not so strange in the larger picture that includes wounded men in a wounded country. Alton is angry and nervous all day, every day. And another one of my students from that time. This one's called "Kelly Speaks." Kelly speaks in waves, sometimes waterfalls of words, ideas, reactions to everything on her mind, or whatever flits across the screen. She reads books, websites, magazines, brochures, ingredient lists, but not faces. She does not respond to hints. She says, okay, okay, about 50 times per hour. Kelly takes medicines, she announces to the room. And she asks me, am I using my inside voice? I pause and reconsider. I really don't know. And this one is a sort of a short 5-section piece that is based on some of my experiences between March and December of last year. And it's called Online Off Topic, 5 Windows. 1, Eva has to turn off her mic when she's taking the online class. The kids are dancing to Teletubbies, and the cat keeps spraying the keyboard. 2, Dave is sitting in Mini Mart parking lot with his smartphone propped up against a box. There's a hotspot around here somewhere. He needs this mat or he loses his grade. 3, Marla waits until he drifts off to sleep before playing the recorded lecture. She doesn't want to piss him off, as if that wish would stop the hitting. 4, the ancient adjunct dresses up as if he was teaching a normal in-person class, points the computer away from the cracked kitchen window. 5, as the plague creeps across the city, no marks on doorways to stop the contagion, and people in expensive cars congratulate themselves on a seamless operation. I guess that one would be subtitled Cranky Adjunct, or something. And this one too is the only, I'd say, explicitly political one. Also written, in last fall as things were starting to heat up again. It's called Something Like Hope. As I was reading Michael's expansive poem, the D string snapped on my guitar. The snapping string could be a portent or not. I can't make up my mind. John Prine is gone. Hello up there. Bernie has taken a gracious bow on the day before Passover begins as we enter week 3 of quarantine. Are these signs, signals illuminating the collapse of the market as God phenomenon? I don't know, although I will miss John. And thankfully, Bernie's still slugging it out with the money changers and corporoidal Pharisees. I don't know if the virus that kills bodies and lives, that depends on a system built for endless consumption with human concerns as a marketing tool, will itself mutate and crush us a different way. I don't know, but we need to find a new way of running a nation that places a premium on justice and the earth. I want to live in a world that's safe for children and families and guitars and weeping cherry trees. John Prine has left the building. Bernie fights the good fight, and the plague flies across the earth during Passover, around the corner from Easter and resurrection. But old strings will continue to snap and slice the gloved hand, will continue to shoot past the masked people who are hoping that something new will emerge from the haunted cities and the 24/7 mourning. Something like hope. Something. And I have started to talk to some of the folks who came here after Maria, but I haven't developed a larger piece involving some of their stories because I'm still trying to talk them into writing, but that hasn't happened. This is a piece that happened also before the pandemic hit, but it includes anecdotes that I was told from people who experienced Hurricane Maria. And I still have cousins down there and friends. And this one was published in the Quelly Journal, which is out of New York. And it's called The Big Houses Burn. Maria ripped the leaves from the trees, the veil from the face of the predator's delight. The lights go out. The dialysis machines, the ventilators, the fans in the nursing homes stop. The lights go out in Puerto Rico. Bodies roll into the sea. Smoke rises from crematoriums. The lights go out in Borinquen. The lights in the eyes of the predators sparkle as they drool and scream. The lights go out on the island of my heart. The cost-benefit analysis of dead and fleeing Boricuas inspires toasts in fluorescent boardrooms. The lights go out. The calculators hum. The flash of machetes in the forest. The lights go out. The rage comes on. The lights go out. The big houses burn. And they really like that one in New York. How am I for time? Am I doing okay? Doing okay, okay. This is another one that is, it is a pandemic poem. It isn't exactly based on Harrisburg, but it's sort of, when I was thinking about these poems, I thought of this piece. And this one hasn't been published yet, but I think it's under consideration at a couple places. It's called Online Ghosts. Joseph, who took his life 5 years ago, still has a page on Facebook. Death has not removed his profile. The fact that he hung himself at night in a barn has no bearing on his social media presence. Are there ghosts on Facebook? Do the dead still post? I don't know. I don't know how to deal with these cyber ghosts. I played a cigueria for an old friend who is long gone, but his page lives on. I recorded it onto Messenger, a PM to a dead friend who used to play an agonizingly beautiful cigueria, one of those old flamenco songs that rose out of the mountains with the help of duende and sherry and pain. Do the ghosts on Facebook haunt the cloud? Do they fly through the air on e-currents? I'd like to think my dead friends check their pages, but I'm not holding my breath. And this one is kind of nutty. Well, a lot of my pieces are kind of nutty, you know, that's not a. Oh, yeah, no, there's two more. Okay, this one was also pre-pandemic, but it's based on a story that I've heard, that I heard a couple years ago, and I've heard variations of it ever since. And this was published in a journal called Sin Fronteras, which means it was Writers Without Borders. And it's the story of a little indigenous girl that got caught up in one of the raids along the border. This is called Protecting the Border. Marta is shivering on a blanket on a floor, surrounded by wire above and around her and the others. Marta is 6 years old. She dreams of days playing in the yard outside her house, and Papa is there, so is Abuela. But when she wakes up, Papa is still not there, and The large white people are saying words she does not understand. Marta knows they are speaking some other languages, and she told them over and over, soy Marta, soy Maya, soy Marta, soy Maya. But the white people with pencils and the bigger ones with guns keep saying things she doesn't understand. Marta doesn't say anything to anyone anymore. She's afraid the witches have Papa, and she doesn't know why he doesn't come to save her. She prays to the ancestors, and she cries and she sleeps. Marta prays that the witches will release Papa and that Abuela will join them soon. Marta is cold all the time. And there were a number of indigenous kids that got stuck in those, got caught in those raids. And nobody really could figure out why they weren't responding to the languages, because they were using English and Spanish. And some of these kids spoke Mayan, some of them Nahuatl. And it's a topic I was writing about when I worked for Indian Country Today some years ago. And I'll end up with this kind of nutty one that just came, that I just put together. And this is called Faceless Nuns on Surfboards. I have struggled. Mandated masks do not protect us from atomic nightsticks, dark skin seeking missiles, or rabid QAnon sleepwalkers dreaming Gilead into being. And then the shadows of my ADD leitmotif drift down the alleys of my subconscious and bounce me off the padded walls of my happy place. I remember the kindergarten nun named Sister, quote, I will crunch your bones into my soup, unquote, wrote beneath a page of my attempt at coloring in a sanctified coloring book, quote, Richard does not follow directions, unquote. Fucking A, I didn't. I am better though, sort of. I can integrate my working life, writing life, husband life, son life, godfather life, uncle life, friend life into a functional illusion. I rollerblade through meditations on trees, guitar chords, and the billions of words and images that keep me company when I'm working from home alone. I mean, remember when the founding fathers demanded equal rights for everyone, meaning everyone, including Africans, indigenous, and all women? Yeah, me neither. And then there are the faceless nuns on surfboards, hanging 10, waving pointers in the air as they ride the rising waves. Cowabunga penguins appear at the damnedest times, first in a dream and then into another poem. In the meantime, new phrases are in heavy rotation between my ears. This is not who we are. This is our house. This is not who we are. This is our house. This is not who we are. This is our house. This is the United States of endless consumption and the Republic of I got mine for a while. This is who we are. Thanks.
Wow, thank you.
I think I filled up 15 there. I'm not sure.
That was, yes, it filled up the room. I'm giving the Zoom room some room to like let the wows reverberate. Thank you, Rick, so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Incredible.
And
So
I have other Harrisburg poems, but that I just wanted to focus on the newer ones.
thank you. And we'll hopefully have a little time for some dialogue kind of as we round out our time together. But right now, I want to turn it over to Nate Gadsden, who has prepared some pieces to share with us.
Thank you so much. And Rick, man, it's always a pleasure to hear you. Your words are fantastic and you are a master storyteller. And I really enjoy you all the time. Thank you so much, my brother. And
Thank
so, hello, everyone. I'm Nathaniel Gadsden, and I've lived in Harrisburg pretty much all my life. And so I see Harrisburg is not only home, but, central to everything that I am, truly. The first piece I'll do tonight is Our City, Our Legacy, a piece that I wrote specifically for Harrisburg. It says, we should have no regrets. We cannot change the past. Although we try with neurotic compulsions and exotic reenactments, the past shall not die. Oh, Harrisburg, the footprint and spiritual breath of the Shawnee is etched in the fabric of your concrete forests. The Algonquin nation still assembles at dawn to escort the sun in place. John Harris is at rest, but on watch. His soul is not yet weary. The hand of an old German friend can still be found in the marketplace. Goodwill to others is not a slogan in Harrisburg, but a way of life. Happiness in Harrisburg still happens as a byproduct of our rich legacy, and we are blessed. We should have no regrets. We cannot change the past. Harrisburg people are a faithful people. Distress, despair, destruction cannot destroy our hope. Our faith stands sturdy upon the virtues of our legacy. We as a people can do nothing without our legacy of hope. Every tomorrow is a force by which we live. We have no storm cellars. We brave the winds of change and charge. We are a laid-back people moving swiftly towards simplicity. We love like we work. If it's not working, we stop doing it. Simple. We reduce the complexities of life with manifest plainness. But we are not dull. We are a multicultural mix of rich aliveness. Although we still remain unopened gifts to one another, every Harrisburg day is a new day, bearing unforeseen opportunities. This is the shadow of our legacy. We should have no regrets. We cannot change the past. We will gain nothing by ignoring the future. The unknown guest called tomorrow must be entertained. For some, the dreams of our future may be better than the history of our past. But the sweet legacy of our past is the lighted bridge to our bright tomorrow. This is the texture of our metal, that we walk boldly into the lighted path of the past to see the future of this great city we call Harrisburg. The city that we love to live in and live to love in. The city of those who came before us to guide us and lead us. The city of no regrets with a past we dare not change. It is our legacy, yesterday, today, and every tomorrow. Oh, Harrisburg. Amen. And so that's a little tribute that I wrote just to Harrisburg, because I do think the Harrisburg people are special people. And this particular piece also is a piece that is called It's What We Do. And I wrote it, I think, perhaps after one of the great tragedies. I think it was something that happened in Haiti a few years back. And I was asked to give a prayer for the United Way at a function they had. And there were other things happening in the world as well. But I remember thinking, you know what, no matter what the tragedy, like 9/11, after 9/11, there was a 9/12 where the people of God stepped up, where the people stepped up. It's what we do. We respond with love, give helping hand love, rescue with love, feed the hungry with love, clothe the naked with love, heal the wounded with love, house the homeless with love. We bury the dead with love, allocate, relocate, allocate our resources with love. We pray to God with love. It's what we do. We step into disaster with love. Amidst the rubble and horrible stench, we step in and lift up. We lift up broken homes and crushed church buildings. We sweep away gray brown dust, allowing the glow of God to shine. We move mangled concrete and twisted iron so that the buried alive can continue to live. We use hands and feet and eyes and ears, the whole body assembled as a weapon of mass construction, rebuilding the infrastructure soul of a devastated people, our brothers and sisters, who but for the grace of God are us. It's what we do. We give God an earthly face and a personal presence. We bring forth the gospel when it seems that all hell has broken loose. We become the hymns of a victorious Zion. Beautiful, beautiful Zion. We are marching up to Zion, letting our work and compassion be our lyrical refrain. We push hard against the notion of a tragic end. We start over again and again. And when we fall down, others step in, giving new meaning to the unbroken circle of love. It's what we do. It's what we, the people of God, do. And we wouldn't have it any other way. Here we are, God, send us. We can take it. We can make it. With you on our side, we will dry the sad and broken tears and listen to the anguish cries of utter despair. We will bend our back so that others can stand up. We will be your ever-present help for our extended family in need. And we will praise your holy name, building anew with our heart's work. It's what we do, because we already know, dear God, that we too never would have made it without you. Without you, we never would have made it. Oh God, it's what we do. Let's say love. This piece I wrote is a two-part piece. I did a lot of work in the school system, working with the after-school program. Really enjoyed. I did it for like 15 years and saw all kinds of things. And then I became a counselor for Sci Tech in the Harrisburg schools. And so I was there for 2 years and truly enjoyed that experience. And in fact, I'm still working with a lot of the young people who graduated like back in 2004, 2005. And one that sticks out in my mind is Shanita Baltimore, because Shanita is a person who had straight A's through Sci Tech, which was a very difficult school. And then she went on to Princeton and graduated and went on and got a master's. And she's just unbelievable. And one day I asked her to write some poetry for a program we did. And the program was a choreo poem. And she literally sat there as we were talking and wrote all of her poetry in the span of an hour. And when we did the choreo poem, she literally brought the house down, and she was in the 10th grade. She was a fantastic, brilliant person. And I just love working with her. But also ran into some people who were brilliant in another way. And I want to read this piece. It's a two-part piece called I Know You. And then the second part is I Know You Too. The first piece, I know you. Distant, hard, storm winds and lightning flashes, tender, not to be touched. A bomb born of young lust and needed attention. Statistical data that justifies the latest new Band-Aid program that covers you. Pouting lips and angry eyes. Teeth-sucking sounds and language that smells like garbage, flowing from you like water. A visual image of lack and need and not caring and not knowing and not wanted in most neighborhoods. I know you. You are the sleeping head on the desk in the middle of my lesson. You are the relationship guru for all those like you, a dictionary of discontent, a banquet of brokenness. You are the fulfilled hopes and dreams of the overt and covert racists of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. You are the sorrow of a people who refuse to unlove you, no matter how misguided and dangerous you insist on being. You are inmate 67724, but you are only 4 years into this journey called life. And still, they wait for you. The pipeline is clogged with you, and your elders are pulling you in vain, not to go through, but you seem determined to do you, because that's what you do. I know you. Man child in this land of promise and possibility, woman child in this place of prosperity and pretense, a sad song in a symphony of battered instruments, a missed note in a perfect performance, a raging emotion masked in false pride and a pretend fantasy that never comes true. You long to belong, but you are dismissed and invisible to those who control the borders of your vision, and you can't see the problem. You are the hip hop mess of a calamity. You are called by many names: urban, hood, thug, homie, dropout, user, pusher, dangerous, mother, father, son, daughter, inmate, parolee, SOB, problem 67724. I know you. I used to be you. Part 2, I know you too. A fierce force wind of achievement and honor. I still rod in the center of police dogs and fire hoses unmoved. Academic excellence achieved in poorly rated schools. A measure of pride, patience, and persistence overflowing from the inside, unseen and unspoken, but on full display. You are the aftermath of a dream determined not to be deferred. You are the highest note in the operatic oratory that brings the crowd to its feet. You are the reaffirmation of our linkage with our ancestors who live again through you, with you, because of you. You are an answered prayer. You are the liberation poured for the dead who walk among us, giving them hope even though they sleep. You are the sound of Harriet Tubman, I can, send me, I will. You are the feet of Martin, ain't gonna let nobody turn you around. You are the strength of Malcolm, by any means necessary, you shall be free. I know you. Iron smelting, basket weaving, pyramid building traveler of the universe. From dungeons and barracoons you rose, from caravans of captivity you sprang, from hot fields and cold landscapes you emerged. Branded as a beast of burden and wrapped in a spirit of death, you flourished. You are the striving, driving essence of our ancestors' dreams. You are the definition of the forward flow of human history. You are the maintaining fiber of collective work and responsibility. You are the reflection of our economic reality when we build and profit together. You are the purpose of all that we do, in spite of all that we have gone through just to survive. You are the reminder of our creative beauty that we inherited from the rocks on which we stand. You give us hope and faith in the righteousness and victory of all human struggle. I know you. You are the first hand up when the question is asked. You are the late night reader for the next day exam, leaving nothing to chance. You are the reason that we are here in this place at this time, as blessed as we are. Oh yes, I know you. Brothers and sisters, I'm still trying to be you. And that's the piece that I wrote for those young people who grace the halls of Harrisburg, Central Dauphin, these are all those school districts that people say aren't performing to high levels, but guess what? All of them are brilliant, but they're going in different directions. So that's what I saw. And that was kind of my tribute to all of them. So having said that, let me keep on going here and I'll read just a couple more pieces, but I'm really excited about bringing in, I'll just maybe read one more piece and then I'll bring in Ro Bradley, who is an excellent novelist and poet. And I'm just glad that she's on board today. And also we may be joined by Wendy. I did hear from her and she's trying to get to us, so we'll see. This is a piece I wrote long ago, and it's a piece that I wrote for Black women. One of the things that I will tell you is that I grew up in a home of strong, both Black women and men, but the strongest person ever in my life was my grandmother, who was, someone who just everyone came to. She was a doctor, she was a lawyer, she was everything, but guess what? She could not read nor write. I didn't know that. I didn't know that until I was in my 40s or something, when people told me, said, your grandmother could not read or write, but she knew the Bible. She listened, she learned. And at the age of 16, she was forced into having to move her 6 or 7 brothers and sisters, I forget how many exactly, from South Carolina to Pennsylvania. And I often wondered why her sisters and brothers revered her so, and why everybody came to her. She was just wise beyond her years. But she was someone I sat under her feet. And I think she died when I was about 14 years of age. And it was such a great loss in my life. But I always thought to myself, boy, there's strong women all throughout my life, strong Black women in particular. And so I wrote this piece called How Dare You Be So Strong? And it goes like this. Woman, Black woman, sister, mother of the sun, keeper of the flame, producer of spirits, spirits of the drum sound, feet marching drums, spirit sounds, freedom sounds. Freedom sounds. How dare you be so strong? You said on his bus, unlawful and defiant, woman, black woman, strong, unwilling to compromise your God force, strong. You said on his bus, defiant of his laws, you were dead to his ways, but you, beautiful and self-assured, were born again, strong. Black woman, how dare you be so strong? And when you sat, a nation called America began to take shape. And when you sat, Black men began to shake the ground and mold their hearts into a sphere of common compassion. And when you said there was a call to culture and true interdependence, Black woman, how dare you be so strong? You have led us through the dust and mud of the Underground Railroad, and we have followed you tired and worn. Weary of prayers unanswered time and time again, we followed you and God answered us. You were there to push past the profanity, death calls, fist spit, and human waste that tried to separate us from first-class schools. You were there at segregated lunch counters whose main course of the day was burnt democracy. You were there to plead for the release of your child and your neighbor's child with tears, protest, and resolve. No matter the dreaded hour, Black woman, you were there. How dare you be so strong? You were there holding up the sky when Black men had taken the best part of you, your heart. They entered into it, captured it, crushed it into pieces, glued it back together with the scar tissue from their backs, then sought to tell you that it was all your fault because you were too hard, too sassy, too cold, too wrong. Weakly, they cursed at you and screamed, Black woman, how dare you be so strong? And through it all, you stood tall like the African boa tree, unusually strong, magnificent, permanent, authentic. You stretched forth your hands and opened your arms and embraced him when no one else would, even when he found it hard to love himself. You whispered wisdom words and told him ancient tales of his strength that had been beaten out of his memory. You loved him to life when no one else could. You have led a nation of men back to the earth of their birth. You are the light on the dark trail. You are the chime of the freedom bell. You are the key to the poverty jail. You are strong. Oh, you are strong. How dare you be so strong? God is delighted in you. He saw a man alone and then brought forth you. He summoned the angels and proclaimed, behold, look, he said, look what I have done. And you rose up and walked, sashayed and swayed, and the angels knew that God's work was through for the day. We asked, how dare you be so strong? But we should have known all along that God just made you that way. Strong Black woman, keep being strong for us. Keep being strong for them. Keep being strong for you. Be our anthem. For you are the faith that the dark past has taught us. You are the hope that the present has brought us. You lead with love, and we love you just the way you are. And you are our strong, sweet fulfillment of God's covenant, our promise never broken, our harvest never lost. Behold, oh, look what God has done. Look what God has done. Strong Black woman, strong Black woman. Amen. And I'm just going to stop right there. And I really appreciate the opportunity to read. But I do have a friend here named Ro Bradley, who is just a master writer. She was just recently given a huge honor, Novelist of the Year through an organization. And she's been a true friend to the Writers Workshop. And as she already said earlier, she is she said it to us as we were, but she'll introduce herself. But she's an educator and also is working now with the Boys and Girls Club and doing great work with them. So it's my honor to introduce Ro Bradley. Ro.
Thank you, Reverend Gaston. You have always just supported me in amazing ways, so I really appreciate you. Thank you. I want to read this first one, and I remember the day that I wrote it. It was the day that George Floyd, my son and I sat and watched video after video, and raising a young Black man is not an easy thing. And after he left my room, and I sat there and I thought, I wrote this. It's called It Ain't the Same for Little Black Boys. Pride they got, lots of strut to their stride. The tint of their skin, the shine in their eyes. You see, it ain't the same for little black boys. There's no help for the strong. White privilege is a thing, you know. Put your hands up where they can see them. Try to look small when you walk by. Don't put your hands in your pockets or innocently gaze them in the eye. It ain't the same for little black boys. Climb your corporate ladders, break glass ceilings, reach for Ivory League golden rings of success, but it ain't the same for little black boys. Racial profiling, tokenism, black pride that leads to destruction are self-evident, self-seeking, and detrimental. You see, it ain't the same for little black boys with big dreams in little neighborhoods where nickel bags and corner stores roll. Sitting in the back of the class looking cool ain't the way. Don't become the target of social injustice and broken establishments. He was big and tall, but small and weak. He was yes and no. Emmett, Antoine, Trayvon, George, George, we hear you calling. Your voices echo from the grave. Black boy, little black boy. The 2012 American Computer Animated Fantasy. Living foot to hand, street to cell, knee to neck. It ain't the same for little black boys. Because I am a history buff and I write historical women's romance, I wrote this one in honor of Juneteenth. It's called We Didn't Know What We Didn't Know. We didn't know what we didn't know. We didn't hear the freedom bell ringing. We didn't see the free people singing. We didn't feel the chains falling. We couldn't see over the mountain. Our hands were still at the plow, pushing and pulling, cotton falling, bags full, backs bowed, but strong. Eyes had not seen the coming of the Lord. Our voices sang our songs of sweet chariots, swinging low and coming down by the Jordan. We didn't know what we didn't know. Our feet had trotted over the valley and through the troubled waters, where never did lay our burdens down. We didn't know what we didn't know. We dreamt dreams of God's sweet heaven, where all his children got shoes, got wings to soar free. We tarry, full of pain, lost, hopeless, feeling like there was never belief in the strain. We didn't know what we didn't know. We opened our mouths to the Lord. Ain't gonna tarry here no more. The bells of Jubilee are telling us we are free. Free, free at last. Thank God Almighty. Free, free at last. Because we didn't know what we didn't know.
That's great. Thank you, Ro. That was excellent. Appreciate it. And I don't think Wendy's come on yet. So I'm just going to turn it back over to Lisa.
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm
oh, Wendy's here? Oh,
I'm
wonderful.
here. I'm here. I'm here.
I don't see you on the screen there. Let me see. Let's see. Okay, there you go. Hey, all right. Wendy's here. Hey.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
And Wendy also is an excellent supporter of the Writers Workshop. One of the, in my mind, one of the great spoken word artists in this area. Wendy's out of Buffalo, New York. And she has a son who stands about 9 feet tall, I think. Is he still growing? Oh my goodness.
He's still growing.
He is also only about, 16 or 17. And he is an excellent poet, folks. He is really someone who I hope will continue to write. But anyhow, at this time, let me introduce to you Wendy Noche-Onye.
Thank you so much, and thank you for allowing me to do this. I apologize for coming in late. We've got a supervisor that's retiring, and so that's always an important time to celebrate. I wanted to share with you, Who Do You See? It's a poem that I wrote. It's a part of my book, Clouds Before Fire and Smoke Before Rain. And this is called Who Do You See? As I stand before you in plain view and good sight, what do you see when you look at me? Has society defined my image or created a cultural montage? If you're looking, tell me, what is it you see? From royalty and warrior bloodlines I come, African and Native American through my skin to my hair and in my veins. Indigenous and Aboriginal in part, and somewhat foreigner at best, for my ancestors immigrated in chains. Who do you see? My ancestral lineage is biblically documented from the beginning of time. I'm a motherland descendant, the product of a slave's reality. Our credits include the pyramids, mathematics, and sciences. I have a natural affinity for excellence and the indwelling of a free man's mentality. Who do you see? Granddaughter to a woman who could bear no child, and an heiress to my father's throne. As angels, they fly freely and watch over me. So when you see me singularly, know I'm blessed and never alone. Who do you see? Oops, it won't go back to it. Sorry. Do you see Dante, Gibran, Shange, Maya, or Giovanni? Or perhaps you see one who pens her own book. Perchance you see creativity, originality, ingenuity, and a visionary. If not, focus in, my friend, take a look. Who do you see? Do you see sincerity and benevolence or a quiet, peaceful demeanor, a habitation of love that's rooted in faith? Do you see a person whom till date has yet to meet a stranger and still believe there's hope for the human race? Who do you see? Now see my scars, my flaws and imperfections. They're medallions of honor to substantiate the unfairness of life. From battles fought, some won, some lost, and some forfeited, with my blood, sweat, and tears a usual price. Who do you see? I am artist and writer, a carpenter and seamstress, building poetic bridges and quilting a literary future from my past. I am servant and leader and an advocate for the defeated, a motivator and a teacher to my craft. Who do you see? I am Mike Brown, Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, and Breonna Taylor, Jacob Blake, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Cayenne King, Sandra Bland, and Kelly Williams Bolar. I am Emmett, Nat Turner, Rosa, Garvey, and Angela too. I am Martin. I am Malcolm, Michelle, Douglas, Kamala, Carver, and Du Bois. And if you fail to see the connection, one day I'll be you too. Who do you see? I speak with signs that are sacred and clandestine. I speak with languages from many tongues in a different land. I speak with prudence and compassion, a universal language to all. And I speak for diversity and the multitude of man. Qui vede? Qui voyez-vous? I can vase. What do you deseo? Who do you see? I am proud of this junction to which life has brought me. Please take note of my poise, stature, and stance. Through the refiner's fire, I've journeyed and will go again and again. Not something you'll see if at first only you glance. Who do you see? Though my layers may seem minimal, superficial, and unsophisticated, and what your eyes see appears to be quite clear. Seeing me with naked eyes and only your vision is like having ears without listening to what you hear. Tell me, who do you see? Thank you.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Yeah. Yes, indeed. That's Wendy No Cherry Onye. Wendy actually lived in Nigeria for a period of time. How many years, Wendy?
3 years, a little over 3 years.
3 years in Nigeria. And she has a poem that every time I see her, I wanted to read the poem. So I just have to hold myself back. I don't want to read that one tonight. But she has such a beautiful piece. But also behind Ro, if you see behind Ro Brady on the screen there, you see some of the books that she's written. And Ro has a number of books out. So both of these ladies are just tremendous writers and supporters of the writer's workshop. Thank you both for being on tonight. And we're going to turn it back over to whoever. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you. What a piece for us to be concluding with tonight. That was fabulous. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Ro and Nate and Rick, thank you so much for this time together. I don't know if people can stick around just for a minute. I don't know if there's any questions or any comments that anyone would want to share from the group here. But I just want to say, when I think about living in Harrisburg, I only lived in Harrisburg 5 years. And for me, spoken word poetry was a part of the lifeblood of Harrisburg. It was a part of what made the city unique. It was a part of how I got to know that city while I was there. And I am so honored to be in this space with greatness, and hearing these words fills me. So thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments, or Nate or Rick or Ro or Wendy, anything that you would like to say as we conclude our program here today? As you've been listening to each other and sharing this space, which I know, all living in the same town, we don't get to share our own spaces even enough.
Yeah.
One of the things I would add, Lisa, is, and I've talked to Nate about this and a number of other local poets, that we have a remarkable poetic tradition in this town. I mean, there is so much energy, so much talent in poetry and in the other arts too. It really, and I think I'm happy to be here and see and hear my old friend and these poets who are new to me. But it's, for a small city, a capital city, I think it's remarkable.
I want to echo that. I agree, Rick, and you have been on the scene from the beginning of my coming back to Harrisburg after college and all that, and people like oh man, so many, I don't even start naming names, but it's just been incredible. Marty Esberg, I have to lift up Marty. He was always on the scene.
Marty's 86.
Yeah. Is he? All right, go ahead now. And so I will say this, just a shameless plug real quick. We do have an opportunity coming up on October the 17th for anyone that's interested. We do what's called the International Storytelling Festival. We've done it for years now at the State Museum. It's always free. And what we discovered is it's a wonderful mixture of poetry and people just telling a part of their story. We always bring the professional storyteller in the sense that they are people who really, travel the world doing this. And this year we're bringing Sister Mafelda Thomas, who's almost 60 herself. I have to say that. I hope she doesn't mind. But she is a stilt walker, still at her age. She does African stilt walking, and she is a professional storyteller and poet. So anyhow, she would be our feature. But everyone that's on the screen today, or anyone, can come in and be a part of the program by simply telling a part of the story. And what we love is either poetry that tells the story, or you telling a piece of your story. And we give you anywhere from 8 to 10 minutes according to how many people we have. And the museum has been a wonderful partner with this for years now. And so it's from 1 to 4 on October the 17th, which is a Sunday. And we're going to have a great time. And it's all free. And Wendy and Ro will be our two hosts for that program, in fact. And so we're looking forward to that. And it's going to be a great time. So anyhow, if you're interested, just give me a call, 717-608-2312. And I'll be happy to entertain you being a part of the program. Okay, thanks for that shameless plug.
Thank you, Nate. Really appreciate it. So I don't see any questions in the chat at all. Oh, Marilyn, do you have something to say?
Yes.
Yeah, hi. This was so fabulous for so many reasons. So thank you all so much. What I loved actually listening to all of you reading your poems. And one of the things that I do, I read poetry, but oftentimes I don't read it out loud. I just read it silently, quietly to myself. I'm wondering, do I need to start reading poetry out loud? And I'm talking about other folks' poetry. I've got a cousin who's really famous poet, and I leave all the poetry to her because there's no way I can compete. But even reading other people's poetry, am I doing the poems a disservice by not reading them out loud? Thanks.
No. I'll say something real quick, and I know Nate's got a few hundred words to say about this.
Yeah.
I think it's real important to read your work aloud. And I have become a better poet because I've been reading my work out loud. And I'm teaching a creative writing class right now. And one of the things I'm having the students do is reading their work out loud. And of course, at first, some folks are terrified, but once they get past that first wave of panic, and they begin to see it. They begin to see it. It's well worth it. I think the ancestors who created the format, thousands and thousands of years ago, got to remember, for thousands of years, we were all oral cultures. We told our stories of our families, of our tribes, of our nations in a pattern, rhyming pattern, spoken out loud. So I think we're hardwired for it. So please do, please read your stuff out loud.
Well said, Rick. And the only thing I'll add to that is that I remember Les Brown talking about his struggle with reading. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Les Brown, but he is a world-renowned motivational speaker. And he said what got him to the place where he is now is that he literally was standing into a room by himself and he had to read out loud, had to hear his voice. And that always resonated with me because when you have a poem, you're reading out loud, you can use voice inflection, you can play with it a whole bit and make it meaningful for you. And he said that's what happened to him. He started telling his stories, but he had to tell a story out loud to himself in order to be able to tell it to the audience. So when you read a poem, whether you read it out loud or so whatever, I just think it's so much more impactful when you use your own voice, your own inflection a whole bit, and give it life, give that, those words life. Whoever's poem it is, you read it the way you want to have it done. And I would end with this, the beautiful biography that's out about Aretha Franklin talks about how, one of her biggest songs was Respect. But the person who wrote that song was someone totally different. It was, I forget his name at this point, Otis Redding. No, Otis Redding? I think it was Otis. Anyhow, the point is he had a hit, but she took it and made it a monster hit. How did she do it? She took that same exact song, the same words, she put it in her own voice, she said it out loud, and then she said, let me see, I can't read that at the bottom there, but anyhow, she said, this is what I hear. And so it came out Respect, the way she heard it. So yeah, read it out loud because you want to put it in your own voice. We do want to understand what the poet meant, but at the same time, what do you get out of it, right? And I think that's so important, for that. Wendy and Ro, I don't know if you had, I didn't mean to leave you out, but if you have any comments on that particular question.
Yeah, I'd say for me, because writing is one of those things you just kind of do in your own head, and you don't really, for me, I don't get a sense of accomplishment in what I wrote until I can hear it come out of my own mouth, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think that we have one question from the chat from our friend Amy. Just curious if any of you wanted to speak to, is there a particular style of poetry that you think might be traditional to Harrisburg?
I don't think so. I think there are so many different writers who have used different styles. I would say a lot of us do sort of narrative pieces. I think that might be a theme, but I've known of local poets who were trying to write the villanelles, you know, and sonnets and these really tightly structured pieces, and then other people doing just about anything you can imagine. So yeah, I don't know about a particular style.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I think, quite frankly, most people are noted for, like you said, the narrative pieces and the free-flowing freestyle storytelling pieces is what I hear a lot of. In fact, a lot of the people have come to the Writers Workshop were a cross between rapper, okay, and free-flowing, you know, a storyteller, and it tends to work. So that thing, the spoken word, has a life of its own. So yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you everyone for being here, for sharing, for listening. And thank you AFS for creating this space for us to be here, to join together. And for those of you watching the video, this was a powerful hour we spent together. And I know that I, for one, feel richer for having been in this space with you all. So thank you so much for the time and energy that you brought to us today. Jessica, I don't know if you have any last word that you'd like to send us out with.
You know, just many, many thanks. I think I was, you know, I have in my head the bits and pieces of so many words that were said earlier, and I thought I was going to ask a question, and I thought I might get choked up, so I just waited. So I think that probably just really encapsulates the power of words, and how even words that are truly not meant for me as a person, that you know, they're meant for you as individuals, for your sons, for your for the women in your life, right? I still am finding my own personal spaces in your words too, and I think that's really powerful. So I just want to thank you. That's not a plug on behalf of AFS. That's just my own personal thanks. And we hope to see everybody, you know, there's the Storytelling Festival at the museum on October 17th. And then our meeting actually gets started on October 18th virtually. But we will be descending upon Harrisburg beginning October 21st for a conference that, you know, really dives into the many issues around tradition and carrying that forward, supporting tradition, thinking about the power of tradition and the power of our words. So we would love to welcome you all there as our guests, and thank you so much.